Hello, fellow pen lovers and stationery enthusiasts. It's Christy here, Snarky Wordsworth over on Instagram and Reddit. And today I am going to be reviewing the Superior Labor Leather Tool Holder. This particular item is in the natural leather, but it also comes in a light brown, a dark brown, and a black. I'm not 100% sure of the MSRP. I've seen some places hold steady at $80 and some places hold steady at $88. There might have been a price change in there that the original company didn't adjust. I'm not sure, but we are looking at that $80 price point. When it is closed, it is about 5.1 inches wide and 6.3 inches tall, and it does have this great little brass button closure. Now, I'd been wanting to add something from the Superior Labor to my collection for a very long time. I'd heard pretty much nothing but good things about the company. The worst thing I'd heard was that people felt the items might be a bit overpriced. I will say the craftsmanship is exquisite. Like, these stitches are so tight and so even and so beautiful. I get why it's at the price point that it is. But you're definitely going to have to decide for yourself. There are tons of other little pen pouches that you can get that are less. There are tons more that are more expensive. Again, that's always going to be a personal choice, right? So this little pen pouch and I have had quite the saga. At this point, I have had it for about 6 months. It is one of my everyday carries. I do absolutely love it. I did not always absolutely love it. So when I first got this, it was in mid-December, I want to say. I'd ordered from the first time from a very reputable retailer. I'm not going to name names because of some things that I'm going to talk about in a moment, but it landed. I opened the box and I had a lot of thoughts. So the good first. As soon as I opened it, I noticed the craftsmanship. This thing is phenomenally well made. The stitching, again, super even, super tight, 6 months in, and there's no loosening. I don't, baby this really. I mean, I fling this into my purse and that's what happens. The stitching is even. The cuts were all really well made. Any of this fraying that you see on the edges, because one, it's a raw edge, but two, also, it's been 6 months. I don't baby it. So, that's not to do with any of this. But look. Nothing is pulling loose. Nothing has come undone. It's really so solid. I also noticed that it's not a super heavy leather, which I like, because I knew I was going to stuff it full of pens. So I didn't want it to be like a really, really stiff, heavy, full grain leather that I'm used to, where the carrier itself weighs about as much as as all of the pens you're going to put into it. So lightweight, beautiful craftsmanship. It was clearly a very well-made pouch. Now, the problem with this was the leather. So when this landed, this leather was so unbelievably damaged. Now, my primary hobby outside of fountain pens is restoring vintage leather bags. So I work with a lot of damaged leather. I work with a lot of leather that has gone through some stuff. And let me tell you, when this landed, it was not like anything I've ever seen come straight from a factory. So the leather was so dry. It wasn't a matter of just being a strange or unusual cut. That is pretty normal. You'll always have different variations in animal skin because it's not synthetic. You're going to have, bits and pieces that don't look entirely even. That's not what I had a problem with. The Superior Labor products have this sort of signature squeak that you'll often hear users talk about, and you can hear it now. When leather is unbelievably dry, it does not make that sound. This did not make that sound. Like, when you opened it, you could almost feel the leather cracking. Now, that could be from a lot of things. The original leather is probably perfectly fine, but somewhere along the line in somebody's warehouse, it had been exposed to the elements for an extended period of time. Like, it was like a very, very dry, unhealthy skin. And so I just was so disappointed in that. I didn't know whose fault that was. Was it the retailer? Had the retailer stored it improperly? Was this sort of a bum piece from the Superior Labor warehouse where it had been exposed to too much, I don't know, sunlight, too much wind, too much extreme temperature? I wasn't sure, but it wasn't cool. So I knew I had a couple of options. I could either return it and just like get another one, or I could be ridiculous and try and restore it myself. And that is actually what I decided to do. Even now, I don't know why I didn't just ask for another one, because it would not have been a problem to get another one. It really was that terrible. I honestly don't know how it ever made it out of anybody's warehouse. But I just decided I wanted to see what would happen if I tried to condition it the way I would a really old dry Coach bag. And when I say old dry Coach bag, I mean the ones from like the 1970s where it's actually like a heavy full grain unlined leather, much like this would be. Anyway, over the course of a week, I continually conditioned and cleaned this, and it definitely is now, at the very least, a healthy feeling leather. It makes the squeak now, which again, it did not for quite some time. And it did get a lot darker. So when this landed, it was a much lighter natural, but natural leather does patina over time, which is what I love about it. Though usually it's from use and like hand oils and whatnot. So this was like darkened somewhat artificially with conditioner. With leather conditioner, of course, and clean and exposure to that. But I do think that it's a really lovely buttery color now, and I do really like that. And I enjoy the fact that, you know, something I knew I could fix, I did. Now, whether that was the smart choice or not, it's anybody's guess. But I am really happy that I decided to go that route. It's just, I think right now, a really, really lovely pouch, and it means more to me because I kind of worked through that ordeal. Now, if you happen to have this pen pouch, especially in the natural leather, I would love to hear if you have feedback about how yours came, if yours felt dry when you received it, and if it just happens to be that I ended up with a really terrible version of this or what. Like I said, I don't know, nor do I want to blame anyone in particular. It landed the way it did, and it was not good. All right, so fast forward 6 months, and this little pouch is pretty much an everyday carry for me. I love this thing. I know that my first impressions were pretty terrible, but 6 months in, I kind of adore this. I knew that I wanted a leather pouch for all of my non-fountain pen pens and like the little bits and bobs that I carry with me to do journaling when I'm outside of the house. I knew I wanted something light that wasn't going to weigh my bag down more than it's already weighed down. And this really does fit the bill pretty perfectly. And now that it's been conditioned and, lived in for a long time, it is marvelous for that. So this bag opens with this little brass button closure. And this is not something that I have cleaned up at all. This is what my pouch consists of. When you open it up, it's got 2 pockets, one main pocket and a small, shorter front pocket. I always have my Traveler's Brass fountain pen in here. I would not put a pen that I'm really precious over in this front pocket, just because you could see it getting a little bit scuffed or scratched, especially if you put something else in this pocket. And usually I have a pair of folding Fiskars scissors. I have unfortunately lost those. I have another pair already ordered and that should land in the next few days, but I will usually put those in this front pocket, and then this brass fountain pen. And then everything else just is all of my plannering accoutrement, including these Night Cafe colored pens, gel pens from Uniball. I love these things. I always carry, I want to say 4 of them with me. These are the 4 colors that I use all the time. So one is pistachio. It's this light, beautiful green. I've got chai tea, and then milk tea. Milk tea is very light, but I like it a lot. The chai tea is this beautiful pale brownie beige. It goes really well with the custom ink that I mixed up for my Zodiac Pen Company Virgo. This one is glorious. And then this really pretty, I believe this one's called Black Cherry, but it's not like a dark, deep, rich red. It's like this lovely sort of creamy, like pinky purple, a muted, dusky pink, and that's glorious. So I carry those. I carry 4 of these great zebra mild liners. I love these colors so much. There's a light gray, a tan, like a pale, pale olive, and another sort of dusky rose. And then I've always got 2 sign brush pens, this one olive and tan. You can see a theme going on here. I always also carry a pencil. This is my zebra mechanical pencil with the Kiki's delivery service. How cute is this? And then a bone folder, because you never know when you're going to have to make a really good clean crease in either paper or cardstock. So I always have one of these with me. And then my 6-inch plastic Westcott flexi ruler. But that, when you think about how small this thing is, again, it's only about 6 inches long and 5 inches wide. You know, that is a lot of stuff to shove in there. Like a lot of stuff. And again, this is so light that it doesn't really, you know, make my bag heavier. Not the way that some of my previous pen pouches did. And you know, the construction on this is so good. My very first impression was that the quality of the craftsmanship was phenomenal. And I still think that, you know, regardless of the leather being an issue, the way that it was made is excellent. I can find no fault in that whatsoever. And, you know, I can't say the same about every other leather pouch or pencil holder that I've ever had. You know, 6 months in, some of them were definitely already falling apart, and this one is still fantastic. It feels lived in. It feels, you know, just as good as many, many other pouches I've had that I didn't have that leather issue with at the beginning. So, you know, I am thoroughly happy with it. And I'm really glad that I didn't send it back, you know, because I feel like the condition that it was in, it would not have been, no one would have tried to save this thing. You know, it would have been tossed. And I really hate the idea of that because it is so beautifully made. And, you know, with a little bit of extra care and some time, it's exactly what I had hoped for in the beginning. You know, it just took a little bit of time to get there. 100%, I would try another Superior Labor product. I am very curious about a couple of their zipper fountain pen cases. So, you know, just because I had one bad experience, I can't even say that that was definitely a Superior Labor thing. I, in fact, don't think that it was. But there's no way to tell for sure. But I'm willing to give this another shot just because of how well this thing was made. In any case, if you are looking for a pen pouch that will hold a ton of stuff, this is one to look at. Okay, so you've seen all of the pens and items that I fit into this pouch, but you could fit so much more stuff in here. You could actually use it as more of a tool pouch rather than a pen pouch, but you could also use it for your actual fountain pens if you wanted to. Just remember that it is just an open pocket here, so nothing is going to hold your pens in place. So that does mean that they could potentially rub together and scratch. But if you're not really concerned about that, it will fit a number of pens. I would not get overzealous and really stuff it the way that I do, but you can fit a number of items in here. Let's see if I can get these guys in there too. So you could definitely fit all of those pens and probably a few more in there as well. Like I said, though, there is the potential for scratches just because they're going to move around. You can hear that little jingle because it does just have that basic empty pocket, and it's not a taut pocket either unless you really pack it. So just keep those things in mind, but it does make for a quite versatile little pen pouch, which I really love. So if at some point I wanted to put like crocheting needles in here, I absolutely could and go on a little crocheting tour. If I wanted to fill this with different papers and stickers, I could use it in that way as well. I could put like larger scissors in here. I could put some other tools. I just would definitely need to stay within that 6-inch length, but outside of that, that's really the main thing that's going to keep you from putting anything else in here is the height of the item. But yeah, so you can see just how much stuff will fit in this tiny little lightweight pouch. So yeah, overall, massive, massive fan of this little thing. I am so glad to own it. I 100% am considering a couple other Superior Labor items, and if I do receive them, I will let you guys know. If you happen to have this particular piece and you have any insights to your own version of this, please put those thoughts in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you happen to have any questions about the leather tool holder, definitely pop those in the comments too. I will answer everything I can. I do think that my experience was not common for this. I've never heard anybody else talk about leather like that. So I do think I just had a weird off item. And, you know, even with the extra steps that I had to go through to get it to a point where I was happy with it, I'm still, you know, very much interested in exploring the company more. So I think that definitely says something about how these products are made and how much I'm interested in that element of the design workmanship. Okay, if this video was in any way entertaining, interesting, useful, whatever, please do consider hitting that thumbs up button or potentially even subscribing to the channel. As always, thank you so much for joining me. If you've made it to the end of this little review and all of my chattiness, you are everything that is awesome, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye-bye.